Welcome to the X Block.
Am I right, Marine? Sir, yes, sir! Then listen up.
You're listening to the X Block. I'm Jared, he's Caleb. Let's get into it.
You are listening to the X Block Podcast, Episode 8. I'm Jaren, and I'm here with Caleb.
Hey.
And this is the world's #1 Xbox podcast.
Probably.
Yeah, of course. We can't get too full of ourselves over here.
As always, I literally don't know. I assume Larry Herb has the most or maybe IGN's Unlocked, I assume, is the most popular, but there's really, like, who knows? Do you see the charts, Jaren? I don't know. Could be
I don't
us.
see him anywhere, dude.
I'll tell you something, Jaren. No one knows how many people are listening to this show unless we tell them. Only you and I know that.
That's fair.
Could be 1 million people for all you know. And it probably is.
Yeah, I never check.
No, it's
Not
nothing
once.
worth looking at. Just put up the episodes, check the comments, whatever, you know.
I don't even listen to it myself because I edit it.
Yeah, I do. I listen to it once every week to make sure you didn't fuck it up.
I haven't yet, I don't think. I wouldn't know.
Well, Jaren, take this one down. You farted here, like, really loud. It's just we can't keep it up. Take it back down.
Sometimes I turn around and I fart straight into the mic and then I
And then
cut
you
it.
cut it out, yeah.
Yeah. It's just for me when I edit it. The one thing I have gotten used to, though, which I hate, is any audio form that I look at, I can see a mouth noise in it.
Oh, why? Well, oh, wait, you can tell. What do you mean? Like when there's just a random, spontaneous, like, like that,
Yeah, that kind of stuff. If I know exactly what it looks like.
Got it down to you don't even gotta hear it anymore.
Yeah, I go to it right away and cut it out. I don't even listen to it.
That means you're professional. Also means you edit too much. Both of those things.
They're not mutually exclusive.
No, not at all.
All right, so what have you been playing?
Oh boy, I think I talked about Dead Island Definitive Edition last week, which Jaren made a hell of a TikTok that you boys out there should go listen to on TikTok. What is our TikTok, Jaren?
At XBlock Podcast.
Yes, so Jaren took my rant from last week and made that into a sweet TikTok. Then I played Star Wars Battlefront, the 2015 version with my friend Juwan, and that game is way worse than Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like, you don't really appreciate how good the second one is that they made, like in 2018. Until you go back and play the first one from 2015. And I got an achievement to like shoot down a Y-Wing in Walker Assault, so that was cool. Other than that, I've just been playing Saints Row the Third on the 360 because you and I finished Saints Row the Third Remastered. And then I was like, well, what achievements didn't I get on the 360? So I went back and checked it out, and it was like, get all the challenges. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because that's basically its own achievement list. And now I only have 2 challenges left, and that is to do the survival missions, I have like 1 left. But the last one, I don't think spawns until you get to a certain point in the campaign. And then the other one is to travel like, literally like 2,500,000 feet. And I haven't done that yet. So you just fly around with a VTOL until that happens. And then I'll have all the achievements for that. And then the best game, dude, that we can talk about that I've been playing is our co-op game, It Takes Two, by our boy Joseph Ferris.
Masterpiece.
So I can let you take over what you've been playing from there because you and I have been playing that together. So
I've also been playing It Takes Two with Caleb.
Dude.
Shocking, I know, because he just said it. But that game's fantastic.
It's great. It's one of the best games I've ever played. And I've played a lot of fucking games. Like hundreds of games. I think I've completed 285. And I've played probably over 400, 500. And that game is one of the probably top 5 or 10 maybe. Just in terms of fun, like, and even design, because it looks so goddamn good on the Series X, it's just fantastic. Anyway, I said I was gonna let you talk about it, so why don't you let me actually, or why don't I let you actually talk about it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even know what more to say about it. Like, it's a fantastic experience. All the websites told us that its story wasn't that great, but so far the story's been good. Like, I've enjoyed the writing's great.
It's been
Everything's
great.
funny.
Yeah. Like,
I don't really see what they were criticizing so
there's
far.
a part in there, dude, where you show up on a tree and then you get captured by some squirrels, and it starts off with you in an interrogation room, and the squirrel's like, "Are you with the wasps?" And you're like, "What? No, I'm not with the wasp." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll find out about that." And then he like lets some wasp in the room, and there's like this whole war going on between the goddamn wasps and the squirrels and shit. And then I don't want to spoil too much because then there's some heinous, probably the worst thing that I've ever done in a video game happens. Like, I guess 3/4 of the way through the game, and I don't want to talk about it too much because it's still new. But if you have a friend, which you probably don't, but if you have a friend to play this game with, highly recommend you go play It Takes Two. Great game.
Yeah, and you'll feel like worse people after playing it.
You really will.
I don't know if it rounds out in the end and maybe we feel better.
That's true. We're only like 3/4 of the way through the game, so
halfway through the game you feel terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
The things I've been playing on my own, I finished up Forza Motorsport.
Oh. Do you perfect the game or not really?
No. I've got like a couple things that I can go back and play. A big chunk of the achievements are multiplayer.
I guess you should say which Forza Motorsport.
7, I believe. I think 8's the one that's coming out.
Yeah, so because I have people who didn't listen to the previous episode. I think you said you were playing it last week, and
I had just started.
So Forza Motorsport 7 is the one you're playing.
Yeah, I finished, I guess what you could call the career mode, and I thought the second I finished the career mode, I would get like 2 other achievements because it said, "Oh, you can't get these achievements until you finish the Forza Drivers Cup," and I thought that meant okay. If I have all the events completed, when I finish the Forza Drivers Cup, then I'll get the achievements. But once I finished the Forza Drivers Cup, it added like 5 more races to each of the championships. And I had like completed all the races in the championships. And a lot of the ones it adds are like races that take an hour and a half to just do that race. So I was like, I don't really want to do those right now. So then I started playing NHL because they added it to Game Pass. And I had some achievements. Right? Yeah, 21.
Okay.
And they had some achievements in that because I had already started playing that game. So I'm slowly going to probably get that up to around 600 out of 1,000.
Big sports guy, Jaron, over here with your racing sims and your hockey games, and really into sports right now. They're pretty easy to play, right?
Yeah, I'm playing them and listening to podcasts. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, going through the challenges in Saints Row the Third again. I'm like, just turn on a podcast or a TV show, even on your phone, and you just kind of roll through and relax, and you just turn your mind off and fucking take it easy.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, pretty much just podcasts and sports games, a bit of racing games. Haven't had the urge to start anything new. I might start something new, like, after I clean up what I gotta clean up in NHL.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna start something new. I assume at some point, you know? But right now, I'm just, like, going through my backlog, cleaning up old achievement lists, because nothing's really coming out right now too much, and if it is, then it's co-op, and you and I play it, right? Like, It Takes Two, we're now playing, and then Outriders is what we're gonna start probably right after that. So yeah. And we're gonna talk about something else later coming out. So
that being said, things that are coming out are mostly talked about in Outside the Box.
I'm thinking outside the box,
where we cover all the news you need to know outside the Xbox community. And the first story of Outside the Box, Resident Evil Showcase that happened earlier this week. And here is everything that was announced in it. So Capcom's latest Resident Evil Showcase not only gave us a new look at the upcoming Resident Evil Village and shared that a new demo is on the way, but it also revealed that Resident Evil 4 VR will soon be making its way to Oculus Quest 2.
Thank God.
As well as a new Resident Evil anime, a collaboration with Dead by Daylight, and the dates that you can expect the demo.
Yeah, so to start off with, I guess, Resident Evil Village, the showcase thing they did. What was the first thing on that list? Let's just go through and talk about a few of them.
Well, the big one, obviously, is Resident Evil Village, or what is it, 7?
That's 8. No, wait. Yeah, it's 8. Yeah. That's why it's Village. Yeah.
Yeah, VII or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they announced, or they didn't announce it, they showed more gameplay from it. They announced that it has a Mercenaries mode in it, which was a fan favorite from previous Resident Evils, and they announced a demo.
Yeah, it's something similar to like if you've played the Tomb Raider, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think, and other things. It's like the score attack mode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Where you like go and you go through the levels of the game, and you like I guess shoot different things and keep your multiplier up and try to do high score shit. That was introduced like a long time ago, I think in like Resident Evil 3. But then other games like Tomb Raider have adopted it. But if you've played Tomb Raider and you have the new Tomb Raider and you haven't played Resident Evil, that's kind of what that is.
Yep. And essentially, PlayStation owners will have early access to the demo next week.
And it's like an hour long, right? The demo?
So it can be played over an 8-hour window, and the game time is limited to 30 minutes for each. And yeah, PlayStation owners will have early access to the demo next week.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, PlayStation's their partner here, I guess, in marketing and everything. Which makes sense. It was showed off at their showcase at the end of last year, or September of last year, something like that.
Essentially, Sony canceled Days Gone 2 so that they could have enough money to buy the exclusivity on the demo for a bit.
so they could have enough money to invest it into fucking Epic. But yeah, let's see. Resident Evil 4 VR announced for Oculus Quest 2. Jaren, how excited are you for Resident Evil 4 coming to VR on the Oculus Quest 2?
Yeah, I'm still, like we talked about before when we've talked about VR on this podcast, I'm over it until they got glove controllers and things that actually make me feel like I'm in the game. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care either. But I mean, it's good for you VR folks, but like Resident Evil 4 VR port, it's like, okay, like, sure, why not? Who cares? Then there's the demo, and then they showed off a trailer. Did you watch the trailer for this story, the second story trailer?
Yeah, I watched the story trailer, and I watched the Mercenaries trailer.
What'd you think about it?
It's just like, I know it's Japanese, and that's its style and all that kind of thing, but it just never feels that, like, grounded to me or believable because of how extra all the characters are. And when they have, like, their fonts that they throw up in the Mercenaries trailer, like, customization, and it's all like very like stylized and colorful in the way that I guess Resident Evil is supposed to be, but it just like doesn't do anything for me. I'm kind of like, this story seems kind of weird and all over the place, and it doesn't feel like as grounded, I guess, as like I felt like the start of 7 was pretty grounded and then it got a bit ridiculous.
You played 7, right?
Yeah, the start felt grounded and then it got a bit ridiculous towards the end. But I guess it's just like not my kind of thing. I watched the trailer and I still wasn't that impressed by the graphics either, but when they were showing the Mercenaries gameplay,
I was pretty impressed by the story trailer for the that was what I was going to say. Is like they were showing in the story trailer, if you watch it like on the highest, visual fidelity or whatever, I was like, this game looks pretty good in terms of the lighting and all that. I didn't watch the Mercenaries trailer. I don't really care about that, so I didn't watch it. But I watched the story trailer.
Yeah, the story trailer looked really good. Yeah, it could also just be, I don't think it actually looks bad. I'm more putting it towards bad YouTube compression and the fact that I watched it on a live stream.
Okay, well, yeah, I didn't watch the live stream, so I watched like the embedded video or whatever. And I mean, I thought it looked like great in terms of like an actual, even though it's coming out for the current or the previous gens, it actually looks like a next gen or current gen, depending how you look at it, game to me.
Yeah, well, they're definitely showing, like it has ray tracing on the Series X, apparently, if you play the game at 45 FPS.
I would still probably stick to 6. Well, yeah, I might play it at 40. I don't know how that would look, but I would try it out.
The thing is, like before, when it was like, do you want to play at 4K or do you want to play at 1080p at 60? The choice was clear, play at 1080p at 60. But now when it's like, do you want ray tracing or do you want to play at 60? Now it's like an actual decision because ray tracing makes the game look dramatically better.
Yeah, you and I
like
can tell from playing It Takes Two with the ray tracing in that game that the lighting is phenomenal. Especially for me, I think it's the first game with ray tracing that I've actually played, so it really looks great to me. And I can tell the lighting and stuff looks great in the trailer. I'm not really a Resident Evil guy. I've like played a lot, like quite a bit of 4, but I haven't played it like front to back. And then I've played 5 and 6 with you, and then I've seen 7 played all the way through, and I've seen the remakes of 2 and 3 played all the way through on YouTube. So I know a bit about it. I don't know how like the story for Resident Evil is so convoluted at this point. I don't know how everything's so tangentially connected to everything else. And like this game is about lycans, like werewolves, and vampires, and that's like kind of the thematic like thing, but somehow that's connected to Umbrella Corp, and I think Ethan Winters or whatever is it Withers or Winters is the protagonist, who is the protagonist in the 7th game, right? And then Chris was in that game too at the end, and I don't know if it was like some sort of prequel or sequel. I don't know how all this connected, but it's like, yeah, it's Resident Evil now, but with like vampires and werewolves and a castle. And you're like, okay, like that's different, but I have no idea how that relates to all the other Resident Evil stuff. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with like the deep story of that game. And someone would have to sit down and explain it to me, just like I would have to explain all of Halo to somebody. It'd be a little complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, I assume once you know everything that's going on and you're invested, then this is like huge news. But for both of us as people who've kind of been outside of it looking in and then like come in for occasional games, it's like a game that I look at and go, maybe I'll play that when it's on sale. But like I've been saying that about 2 and 3 and now this, and I haven't played any of them.
Yeah, so I thought 2 looked really cool, and I just watched it on YouTube, and I was like the 2 remake, when that was coming out. I just ended up watching it. I didn't want to pay for it, and I felt like I still got a good experience watching like one of my favorite streamers play it. And then this Resident Evil Infinite Darkness thing, it's like a Netflix show coming in July, and it's with Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, and they fend off zombies who are attacking the White House, apparently, which it ties into the Resident Evil 4 story, I guess, because I know Ashley, like, that's the president's daughter, and the Resident Evil 4 that you have to, like, protect and save, and now you're protecting the president himself at the White House from zombies, and I'm like, I probably won't watch that, but I guess that's cool if you're into, Resident Evil, so good for you. And there was quite a bit of news there, for this Resident Evil showcase. I didn't watch it, I just caught up afterward. But yeah, if you're into Resident Evil, man, you got a lot going on. And the story looks cool if you're into Resident Evil, I guess.
Yeah, so if you're excited about Resident Evil, we opened the show with it because we knew it was important. Even though we don't personally care that much about it, it still was too important to stick in the faff.
Yeah, Jaron, I think wrote in the thing, it's like, the big news is Resident Evil. I guess this is why they did this, which is what we were talking about last week, where Jaron and I hate these, like, spread out showcases all these publishers are doing for their various games and all this nonsense, instead of just doing everything in a more condensed and, like, targeted surgical fashion. But it's like, yeah, dude, they fucking nothing coming out right now or anything, and they're like, let's do a big Resident Evil showcase, and then they dominate the news cycle for like half a week or more. So it's like, I guess good for them. And they did have a few things to talk about that I didn't know they talk about too, like the VR thing and the Netflix thing. It's like they had a little bit to say,
It's not what we criticize the game industry for doing, which is only talking about one game in a multi-hour event. They actually had other things that they were talking about and multiple games. So in that case, I give them a pass.
It was a little bit more substantial than I thought it would be. And then the Dead by Daylight skin or whatever the fuck's going on in Dead by Daylight that they're adding in. So yeah.
Yeah. That would be faff news. There's no need to talk about that.
If you're a Resident Evil fan, today's your day. Good for you, man.
And if you're a fan of the game industry, maybe this Square Enix news is your thing.
And why is that, Jared?
So Square Enix denies rumors of acquisition activity. So essentially, what happened this week was everybody was saying, oh, Square Enix was going to be bought by somebody, and people were putting in offers.
I think there was a Bloomberg report. Like, a Bloomberg report had, like, rumors
from Japan. Bloomberg Japan.
So from various sources that were saying that people were actually looking to, I think they were just saying that interested parties were looking to acquire Square Enix, right?
Yeah, and Square Enix said, which that would have been our number one story if that was actually going to be a thing, but then Square Enix kind of just came out and said, no, we're not. So I still kind of attribute that to being corporate speak for, obviously everyone is somewhat interested in being purchased if the money's right, since everything's about shareholders when you're a publicly traded company.
Bethesda wasn't for sale when Microsoft bought them. They just offered them a lot of money. They weren't, like, actively looking to sell, from what I understand.
And Square Enix is coming, the reason they're not looking to sell is because they're coming off one of their worst years with Avengers not performing well. Outriders has thankfully brought them up, which honestly probably saved them from being bought a month ago. But companies are circling now because they know that they can pick Square Enix up at a cheaper rate than if they would have bought them last year, for example. Yeah,
they lost, like, I think it was $70 million at least on the Avengers, fucking debacle, which basically ate all their revenue or profit, a lot of it that they generated from Final Fantasy VII Remake that year, or that quarter, perhaps. But yeah, it was a pretty big hit for them. And so, yeah, people are just like, we're looking to, buy Square Enix. And Square Enix came out with, like, some official corporate statement, like, we have not received any offers and are not looking to sell this or that. And it's like, yeah, okay, dude, sure, whatever.
Yeah, no one's ever looking to sell. Tencent could just come in and pay off their shareholders and steal their company. That wouldn't shock me. But I imagine this fight will come down between Microsoft and Tencent, because everyone likes to point out now that it's become that people are showing graphs on Twitter like, ooh, Sony could be buying this. Look, Sony has $40 billion of cash in the bank, and they're showing all these graphs that say that Sony does have $40 billion in the bank, but that's all their money in the bank. They're not going to spend 1/4 of all of their money in the bank as a whole company when they're doing all these other ventures like starting PlayStation film studios, their cameras. They're not going to spend 1/4 of their overall money to buy a corporation because PlayStation fans want them to.
Yeah, the most they've been doing is that these, like, $100 to $200 million iterations. Like, for the most part, they bought Insomniac, wasn't it, for like 250 or 200 million? Am I right?
Yeah, the deal of a century.
Yeah, exactly. And then they invested like $100 million into Epic, and then like
200, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, 100, and then like 3 to 6 months later, they invested like 200. Or like, I think right. So, or maybe it was 200 to begin with too, but regardless, it was no more than $200 million. And then 3 to 6 months later, they put like another 200 million more, and that probably has something to do with them either wanting a higher stake. It probably has to deal more with the Unreal Engine than it does Epic as an actual company, I would assume. But,
And just in acquisitions, Microsoft has spent $36 billion in the last 3 months.
So there you go. Square Enix, I mean, they have a heavy like third-party partnership with PlayStation in a lot of ways, just like Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PlayStation exclusively, apparently, and all this other shit. They tend to work with them more in that capacity, but still, if Microsoft wanted to buy them, they could. It just depends on the price and all these other things. So yeah, that's the general story. They're like, we're not in any negotiations. No one's actually made them an offer, apparently. None of that, but it's like, and they're not for sale, quote unquote, like they're like not looking to be sold. But, we'll see what happens.
Moving on to the next story, Konami is making games again. And the only reason we're talking about this is not because of the game that they're making again, which is a PC reboot of a classic NES game. And whatever, Undying Moon enters early access on PC, blah, 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 May 13th, 2021. Get excited if you care about that. That's like way outside the box news. We're more talking about the fact that Metal Gear has come back to life on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. I was going to say, Getsu Fumaden is the fucking roguelite that they're releasing next year, apparently, for Switch and PC. So, get hype for that. But like Jaren said, we're more concerned with this Metal Gear news. So what's going on there with these Metal Gear rumors and all this shit?
Essentially, Metal Gear just popped up on Twitter, and some dude tweeted, "Come down to Computer Lab to say hi, but there's no one here. They must be at a Scrum meeting or something, maybe next time." And he took like a photo. And then Metal Gear official responded with, "Tom, we talked about this. Please check your codec each morning for meeting updates and evacuations in case of PMC incursions. And we have visitors coming next week. So finish cleaning the vents and make sure the flags are all hung properly, but do not touch the C4 this time."
So no one knows what's really going on here. This Tom Olsen guy, apparently the account was made like 2 weeks ago and was recently followed by the main Metal Gear account, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, he tweeted this thing, which is like some in-game screenshot. I'm not super familiar with the Metal Gear franchise. It's not... Traditionally, it's a PlayStation IP and all these other things, but I just never got into them. I could play Metal Gear Solid 5 and all that, but I'm like, I don't care that much. Like, who cares? It's so much of an investment to get into that game franchise at this point. But, like Jaren said, big news. They're teasing something, we assume. We don't know what.
Yeah, but it also, just to temper expectations, it is Metal Gear Solid 2's anniversary this year, so this could just be a form of celebration in that case.
Yeah, unfortunately, not too much news happening right now, but a lot of like teasing and speculation and rumors and, things like that. And this is one of those.
Yeah, because some of the rumors we're going to touch on a little later in the X-Block segment this is one of the things that Microsoft is supposedly rumored to be in talks with Konami to buy their gaming rights to Metal Gear and Silent Hill. So I guess that could be an announcement, or it could be that maybe some of the Metal Gear stuff is coming to Xbox that wasn't there previously.
Yeah, it could be a lot of things.
But it also could just be a Sony announcement, or again, it could just be this, hey, it's the anniversary, here's some art.
Regardless, there is the news here really is that there are some stirrings in the Metal Gear IP a little bit. Keep an eye out.
The news is that Konami's actually making games again.
Apparently that's happening, and particularly Metal Gear is going to make some announcement, we assume, in a week, and that could be a litany of things. So keep an eye out and come back next week, where if they actually do say anything, we will update you.
Yep, definitely. We'll let you know. This one's going to be a quick one. More E3 and summer news info. I can essentially break it down quick without even really opening up these articles.
I want to talk about it, though, after you're done.
Ubisoft has announced their press conference. It's on June 12th at 12 p.m. And IGN kind of says that their Summer of Gaming is back and that they're partnered with E3. So they're still doing their Summer of Gaming thing that they did last year, except E3's back. So E3's obviously the focal point of it and where most of the news is going to come out around. So I guess the rest of the Summer Games thing will just be probably showing more in-depth demos that don't show well at E3 on a stage.
You're right there. I was going to say, like, this is so annoying. I know everything's being more, like E3's coming back, which is cool. But now E3 is partnering with IGN. So E3 is going to be part of IGN's Summer of Gaming, which I don't know how long that's supposed to fucking last. But then that is Summer of Gaming, which E3 is a part of, is different from Summer Game Fest, which Jeff Keighley's hosting in June, which E3 will happen during, like, in the middle of. And then Day of the Devs and other things are a part of Summer Game Fest in there in June. So there's just like fucking 15 different things going on in June that are all the same thing. Like this whole summer of gaming that the game industry decided last year, I guess, was really profitable for them and gave them more to talk about and more to write about over months. So they're like, let's just keep this ball fucking rolling. But one thing that you can take from this is that IGN, dude, really swinging their big fat dicks around. Like, I'll tell you that. Like, we already knew IGN was kind of the preeminent, number one video game news website and news source. But now that they've like officially partnered, like E3 partnered with them to be part of their summer of gaming thing, for happening, I think on their streaming E3 on their website and all this other shit. I don't know if it's exclusive or whatever. I assume it might be, but anywho, IGN got a big deal here. Like IGN has really established itself. If it wasn't clear before, IGN is definitely like the number one news source in gaming, after this.
Yeah, I assume they might have exclusive interviews and stuff, but I'm betting that all these streams will still be on.
I hope so.
On every platform,
I like
on
it
YouTube, on Twitch. I totally don't expect IGN to solely have the E3 rights, because I don't even think E3 entirely controls where each company that's part of E3 puts their streams.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I wasn't super sure because I don't know what it means that E3 is partnering with IGN for their summer of gaming and it's going to be part of their thing. And it's like streaming on their side. I'm like, I don't really know what all that means.
It probably just means IGN was the only company willing to give them a little bit of money to get maybe some slight exclusive interviews.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of exclusives and scoops and shit from this. So, good for IGN, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the main point is there's going to be a lot of faff surrounding the main event.
Yeah, a lot.
But at least we got the main event back.
That's true. I mean, that's the best news. That's the most important part.
And we know the exact time that the Ubisoft 3-hour press conference that they like to do at E3 takes place, where they introduce a game, they show you a 5-minute gameplay trailer of it, then they show you a 10-minute trailer of someone playing it and explaining it to you, and then they possibly bring out 4 people to play it together.
Yeah, and they bring out the guy who's the villain in Ghost Recon Breakpoint to tell you about the game. he clearly does not care and doesn't play it. That got announced, right? The Ubisoft Forward. That got. What are the dates for that?
June 12th, 12 p.m. Pacific time, or 3 p.m. Eastern, or 2 p.m. Caleb time.
Okay, well, everybody look forward to the Ubisoft Forward. Coming out in June, and like Jaren said, Maybe we'll all see another Just Dance fucking montage. Socially distanced, of course.
Yeah, we'll see. The last thing on Outside the Box, surprised it actually made the cut, and it only made the cut for negative reasons. F1 2021 was announced. Now, this is the first F1 game under the EA umbrella, and the one thing it does have, which who knows if this will actually be interesting to us, Caleb, but they have a new story mode. It's called Breaking Point. Like spelt breaking as in a car. Haha.
Aha.
And it takes players on, quotes, an epic journey as they rise through the ranks from Formula 2 to Formula 1. And career mode apparently returns with a 2-player option that allows friends to join together online either cooperatively or competitively, working on the same or rival racing teams as part of a synchronous race session. So
I'm still not
who
playing
knows?
that game with you.
Who knows? Maybe Caleb and I will play this game.
No, we're not. I'm not playing another racing game after Dirt. It's not
It'll
happening.
be added into Game Pass. So who knows? We might have to play it. I might rig the wheel on this one.
I don't care how co-op it is, Jaren. I'm going to tell you why we're not playing it later in the news once we get to the X block. But no, we're not playing the F1 game. No.
And the reason that it's here is F1 2021 is going to be much more expensive in some regions than this year. So EA takes over and they say, hey there, Argentina, guess what? We know that your game used to cost $7. That's 7 American dollars.
Yeah, translate it to their currency.
Yeah, translated to their currency. Well, now it's going to cost 23. And South Africa, it used to cost $7, and now it's going to skyrocket to 38. And South Africa's, which used to cost 23, is going to be $70 when converted. So essentially, EA has come in and they've said, hey, remember all those countries we were selling this game for less money in because they're poor and they buy more copies? That way, if it's cheaper, well, fuck them all. We're raising the price. Also, I've learned that I need to buy all my games from Argentina.
I was going to say, I don't know enough about that. I assume there's something we're missing. Now, it's possible we're not, like Jaren said. I don't know if it's because they buy more copies that way. Doesn't really make sense to me. I assume there's some sort of like tariff or like import tax on some certain shit and like various governmental things that I don't really I don't know enough about these economies or quite enough to understand why the games are so fucking cheap there when you translate them to their currency. Because most other places like Australia and Canada, I don't know. It's like it seems to like add out to a little bit more than it actually costs in like the US or something. I don't know what's going on over there. But anywho, it's going to be more expensive for you, but it seems like for, in a real dollar value, you're paying less money. It's just that since a lot of people
South
there,
Africa.
I was going to say, since a lot of people there are poor, like really poor, like below the absolute poverty line in America. In some of those places, it's like, well, maybe that's a lot for some people. And I don't know why they're
Africa
doing
now
it, though.
pays $10 more than you do.
Yeah, yeah, that's true, exactly. But I was just going to say, I don't exactly know why EA's doing that. I don't want to necessarily castigate them too much, although I would lean towards they're probably more in the wrong, but I have no idea about the actual financial situations in these countries to know what the fuck happened. So I don't even want to speculate because I'm probably just talking like a stupid person.
Yeah, I always just like the fact that EA is always out there trying to piss off as many people as they possibly can.
They did bump the prices. So.
And that is the end of Outside the Box. So now we hop in to the review roundup.
In a world where reviews are too long to read and review videos are too long to watch, one man will compile all of the reviews and turn them into one easily digestible stream of information. This is the review roundup.
And another week of nothing, Caleb. So
it's the lead up though with the big like in a world where one man reviews. It's like, and he's like aggregates all the review. Dude, nothing. Like
that's what makes it funny though.
Yeah, no, it's a great joke, especially for first timers. Fucking welcome. But there's just nothing coming out really right now of substance. That enough people care about. That we care about even really. It's just not, obviously. Things are getting delayed and not much is coming out right now. So when there's stuff to review, you will hear it in the review roundup. And if you want to listen to previous weeks, not last week, we'll give you some reviews.
Yep. All I have to say this week is instead of me giving you reviews, why don't you give me reviews of what you're playing? And you can reach out on @XBlock Podcast on Twitter, @XBlock Podcast on Instagram, even @XBlock Podcast on TikTok if you want to shoot me a message and tell me what you're playing and tell me your review score for it.
Or the XBlock Podcast on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep, the XBlock Podcast on YouTube. Or, if you just want to give us reviews,
you go to Apple Podcasts, you search for the XBlock, bippity boop, you find it, you leave us a 5-star review. If you're going to leave us a less than that, you probably just say, you know what? I'm too tired today. And then you go to sleep and you forget about it. But if you want to leave us a 5-star review and you're already listening on Apple Podcasts, or if you found this elsewhere and you have an iPhone or access to Apple Podcasts, go leave us a nice review. Helps us out with the algorithm. And if you have any, you probably don't, but if you did, dude, tell your friends. Tell your mom. Just like last week, I mentioned your mom. You tell her to listen to the XBlock. Well, this week, dude, tell your dad. Say, Papa, are you hither? And he will say, yes, my child. And you will say, Papa, it is time. And he'll say, for the XBlock? And you will say, yes, Papa. I mentioned the XBlock to you last week. And he will say, I remember fondly. And then you will go listen to the XBlock podcast. And you will say, Papa, here it is. Listen with me. And he will say, I will, child. And then you'll learn that you were adopted. And that's the end. He's not really your dad. But you got him to listen to the XBlock. And now he's going to leave a 5-star review. And we appreciate it.
Also, if you still have your grandparents in your life, get them to listen to it, because I promise you, if they're still in your life, they love you more than your parents.
That's true. 100% true. Go tell Grandma. G-Ma, what up? G-Ma, you listen to XBlock? G-Ma, hit it up. G-Ma, hit up the XBlock right now. Hurry up, G-Ma. And she'll be like, okay, Shabbos. And you'll be like, my name's John, Grandma. Go rate the XBlock. Leave us 5 stars, all right? And then you'll be one of the boys, too, spreading the gospel of the XBlock out there to all the boys and girls.
Speaking of the XBlock, why don't we hop into our Xbox-related news?
Love the XBlock.
Microsoft tests removal of Xbox Live requirement for free-to-play games. I don't understand why this is a thing that is taking so long. And my favorite thing about it is that they're testing it in the preview program, the insiders, the Alpha Ring insiders, who, if they're Alpha Ring insiders, definitely have gold. So how are they testing not having gold?
See, I don't really know. Like, that's actually a great point. But all I know is that they're implementing this feature for the first time, and it's not just free-to-play games. It's also party chat and looking for groups, which I didn't even know is something that they were like going to add as like, you don't need gold to do the
People actually
looking for
use
groups.
that shit. They do. Like, people really use that feature.
Yeah, well, you can use it now without having to pay for Xbox Live Gold, and that's being tested. And initially, it was being tested in the, like Jaren said, the Alpha Ring and the Alpha Skip Ahead rings, and that slowly worked its way down to the Omega Ring, which is almost basically just normal Xbox Live patch whatever. So there you go. It's making your way slowly to everybody. Some reason, Jaren made a great point. Why would you even test it in the Alpha program? I guess, like, who's the one guy that has gold or doesn't have gold?
I want to know who. I bet there's 5 people. I want to know who the 5 people are that even in the entire Insider program don't have Xbox Live Gold.
It's
I
true.
want to know the 5 of you that don't have it. Because how did you even find the Insider program?
If you're listening to this and you're an insider and you don't have gold, dude, hit us up. Like, I want to talk to you. I want to interview you about it.
Next on the docket, now for some negative news. The conclusion to controller issues? ? So Caleb, the controller drift lawsuit has entered arbitration.
Yes.
And this is the one where they were trying to get you to buy or trying to get you to sell them your controllers so that they could take them and I guess show them in the lawsuit and all that kind of thing. So essentially it's been taken out of the courtroom and now it's in arbitration.
Yeah, I can tell you about this story, dude. I wrote an article about it over at screenrant.com, dude. So I wrote an article titled Xbox Controllers with Drift Being Purchased by Lawyers for Lawsuit. And so basically I'll give you the background context for this. In 2019, the law firm Chemicles, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith, otherwise known as CSK&D, filed a class action lawsuit against Xbox in April of, I think it was actually 2020, for stick drift in various Xbox One controller models. And in October, they amended it to include the Elite Controller Series 1 and 2 models. And then in February of this year, they filed a class action lawsuit against Sony for their DualSense controllers because they suck. And then back in 2019, I think they filed one against Nintendo for their Joy-Cons. Anywho, for Xbox, Microsoft asked them to move it to arbitration earlier this year, citing the service agreement, like the Xbox Live or their Microsoft service agreement, some larger, not an Xbox related one. I think it's an overall Microsoft service agreement that says that you would take any type of thing like this. I'm not a legalese expert, but you would take anything like this to arbitration rather than make it a class action lawsuit, which covers. So you would Microsoft would handle it on an individual basis instead of like a actual class of affected users. Anywho, this person posted on Reddit this email they got from this law firm saying that they were looking to buy. Well, first they said that the lawsuit got moved from class action to arbitration, which is news. That's a development in the case. And then they were also asking to buy broken Xbox controllers, that like controllers with stick drift from users that they email specifically. Like they're not taking it from anybody. But anyone that they email, they're like, yo, you want to sell us your controller? And then they'll buy it from you to use as, I guess, evidence in the arbitration aspect of it. But yeah, it's pretty shitty because instead of a class action case, which apparently damages would be able to be accrued in like a better way. I'm not actually a legal expert, but I'm sure that Richard Hogue over at Hogue Law in his virtual legality series on YouTube, he could tell you all about it. He's a corporate lawyer and he probably knows every fucking thing there is to know about this. And I'm sure he has a video up. But yeah. The case got moved to arbitration, and Microsoft is fighting these lawyers, saying like, we do not want to pay. We want to pay as little as possible for selling you fucked up controllers with stick drift. And Jaren, you have a controller with stick drift, right? Or
I did
multiple, right?
Yeah, I did, and then they fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed controllers. I think they extended the warranty on shit to where like you're like, hey, my Elite controller has stick drift, and they're like, well, send it in, and they send it in. They give you like a refurbished one that doesn't, but you know, fingers crossed that that one doesn't get stick drift again. And for those of you who don't know, stick drift is when like it's usually your right stick, but I think it can be the movement stick too, like the left stick. Basically, it starts doing inputs that you didn't make. So like you will just like set your controller down, and your character will start looking to the right or left, or down or up or whatever. So it really sucks and really inhibits gameplay. And that is the story.
Yeah, that's a pretty good breakdown of the entire story.
I had a more succinct and concrete breakdown of it, I was going to say in my article that I wrote on Screen Rant, because it's actually written out instead of me just fucking ranting about it. But yeah, anywho.
Yeah, so there you go. If you want a more succinct breakdown of the article, go check out Caleb's actual article.
Yeah, give me them clicks.
Moving on to the next story. We just wanted to talk about this quickly because there's this big narrative by fans of people that aren't Xbox. So I guess Nintendo fans don't really care, but Sony fans and some PC people that once a game goes into Game Pass that it doesn't sell very well. And I just wanted to give you the quick Outriders numbers. And Outriders on Xbox is the third most popular paid game, as well as being the third most popular paid game on PlayStation. So people are still buying this game in huge numbers. At one point, it was at first on the Xbox most paid games. Then it slowly went down to third because Call of Duty is always going to stay at the top if it's on sale or there's some kind of discount around it.
Yeah, and it launched in Game Pass. So.
Yeah, it launched in Game Pass. You could have played it for free, but people still chose...
Well, for free with the subscription, yeah.
Yeah. People still chose to buy the game consistently across the Xbox platforms.
Which I find weird. I don't really know why that's the case, but why would you do that? But that's apparently the game still sells, and regardless, the argument shouldn't really be that a game doesn't sell if it's in Game Pass. It's well, the argument should be that they already made their money in a lump sum payment that Microsoft gave to them to put on Game Pass. Hence the agreement. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's why you're never gonna see like when Halo Infinite comes out. I imagine it'll sell fewer copies than Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or whatever. Horizon Forbidden West, but that's because it's in Game Pass. And that's I guess that's a bad example because it's a Microsoft game. But anywho, any game that goes to Game Pass like that, I expect it to sell fewer units, regardless. But apparently, according to at least for Outriders, the game still sells, which is weird.
Yeah, games apparently sell extremely well in Game Pass, from indies all the way up to AAA titles, which... who knows? Maybe that means Microsoft can charge less or give less of a upfront fee in the future.
I was going to say, yeah, I know we would anticipate that DLC sales would increase for whatever game is in Game Pass. You would assume that's the case. But for actual game sales, it's wow, some of you fools, not fools literally, I'm not calling you a fool, although you might be. But I'm saying some of them fools out there buying shit. Who would have known?
Yeah, actually... in all honesty, every person that buys a game day one, I don't understand you, but
me either.
I greatly appreciate you because you allow me to buy a game for 50% off later.
Yes, you subsidize me, because if no one bought it when it came out, and everybody waited for the 50% off sale, Jaren, you're right. That would be no bueno, and that would shit would fuck up. But these people subsidize you and me getting it half off 2 months later.
Honestly, just shout out to you guys. I got a great respect for you and your infinite wallets.
Yeah,
you bring me great joy.
It's not 1982, man. There's so many games to play. If you're telling me I can't wait 2 months, any game that comes out, unless it's a select few that you and I really want to play, it's yeah, I can find something else to do for 2 months, and then...
See, Caleb, I'm going to stop you right there, though.
What's up, man?
Everything you're saying makes sense, but I'm not trying to change these people.
No.
I'm just thanking them.
Yeah, I want to shit on them a little bit.
Yeah,
hey, man,
but we need them to think that they're doing well so that they keep doing it.
No, I mean, they get to play the game before us when it's broken, but
But we appreciate you.
You get to get all those saves deleted. You see that people's Outriders saves are getting deleted, once they patch the game.
Yep, it's in the FAF.
People, okay. I was gonna say that shit was happening. I'm man, this is why you and I wait. Every game you play now is 50% off 3 months later and patched, so it's better.
See, but Cyberpunk, not 50% off and not better. So what Caleb said would technically be true in most cases, but in some cases would be a rumor. And speaking of rumors, that's what our next topic is about.
What, dude, I like the name of this segment, this news group. What's it called?
We just gave it a nice title of the Rumor Wire.
I want to keep that. I want to keep that for later. I like the Rumor Wire. It's a good title.
We'll keep it for later. We're kind of going to run through these quick because we really don't have any idea if these have any legs, and us not having any inside sources, all we can say is that's cool, or hopefully that happens. These
are just rumors percolating in the industry, and if anything develops from them, Jaren and I will let you know at a later date.
Yeah, and the one that I'm going to add in is one that we just brought up briefly earlier, is that there's rumors that Xbox is looking into buying the Konami rights to Metal Gear and Silent Hill. And that's all the information on that. So basically, we talked about it earlier. That would obviously be great for Xbox's Japanese end of production.
Which
but
they're
I think
expanding
that's
into.
also why they're more looking at Square Enix, is because then they actually get Japanese studios and Japanese people that are working in Japan. And I think that would benefit them more than Konami's gaming rights. I feel like would more help in North America.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting perspective. That's just the first rumor. There's like 3 more.
Yep. Another rumor is the Switch on Phil Spencer's shelf during one of his videos is teasing an Xbox collab with Nintendo. And this has been a rumor that's been around for a while, is that Game Pass will eventually come to the Nintendo Switch and will probably use the streaming technology that Microsoft has created so that games will run at their maximum, I guess, resolution so that it doesn't tax the Switch as much.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like we thought that they might even announce at like the last E3 that they had that Game Pass might be coming to Switch. So it's been like, this has been a rumor for a long time. It's just that now, Phil Spencer has a shelf and he puts things on that shelf and he put a Switch on that shelf. So who the fuck knows anything anymore?
It would be really fun to live in a world where Elder Scrolls releases day one included in Game Pass, so essentially free if you're buying Black Friday deals.
I mean, yeah.
And so it comes out day one on PC for relatively free, on Xbox for relatively free, on Nintendo for relatively free, and then a year down the line, maybe, if you are to believe what Sony people have to say, on Sony's PlayStation for $70.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a pretty neat world. And when Jaron says relatively free, he's right. Because, I mean, if you buy, 4 3-month codes half off for Game Pass on Black Friday, Game Pass Ultimate on Black Friday, it's literally a AAA game and a half. Like, it's $90. So the value you get for $90 for a year, it's like it's might as well be fucking free.
Yeah, because you're probably going to get to the point where by the time the new Elder Scrolls comes out, you'll probably be getting 2 to 3 Microsoft games a year.
Yeah, it pays for itself and beyond. Far, far and away beyond.
This next rumor kind of connects to what I was talking about with the Konami idea, but I think this is more related to the possible Kojima news, which is Xbox is looking to publish AAA games with an ambitious connected world. And I think this is interesting because this is what we've heard from a lot of people, not this ambitious connected world part, but that Microsoft is also looking way more into publishing games and being like a publisher, because then the game comes to Game Pass and then it goes wherever else it does, but it's basically included on Xbox.
Reading this from purexbox.com, like this says that and a new one, which is the same, like, by the way, sister website to like Nintendo Life and Push Square, which are those like ecosystem centric sites. Well, Pure Xbox is the newest one by those people. And anyway, it says, quote, in a new article by Windows Central's industry insider Jez Corden, he referenced a recent tease he made earlier this month about some really interesting partnerships Xbox has in the works. The tweet had an emoji which looked eerily similar to either Ubisoft or Sega, but according to Corden, quote, it's actually in reference to a game Microsoft is looking to publish with a prominent third-party AAA studio, quote. And then he says, quote, I don't want to share more details and spoil upcoming reveals for the devs or fans, but this particular one sounds extremely promising, set in what sounds like an ambitious connected world. Microsoft isn't done there either. The above game could be revealed this year or perhaps next year, depending on how development goes. Beyond that, I've been made aware of not one, but at least 3 additional games being prototyped by Xbox publishing partner studios of a higher caliber. None of these are the rumored game Microsoft may be working on with Kojima either, end quote. So that's kind of the information, the rumor that the rumor's working on, that information. So, take it as it will. It's kind of like, yeah, it may or may not, but sounds reasonable, I suppose.
It makes sense. They're going for the Netflix model of own your own content, but also pay and publish everyone else's content too, so it comes to your platform included.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
And the last one of the rumor wire also touches on those kind of themes, because it sounds like Battlefield 6 is going to be a next-gen exclusive.
Which is good for them, I suppose.
From what people are saying. But another part to this rumor is that in order to have high player numbers, being a next-gen exclusive, that on the Xbox, Battlefield 6 might launch in Game Pass.
Dude, if that were true, that would be such a get, dude. We don't know if that's true, but if it is, that is crazy. If they had like Battlefield 6, day and date, Xbox Game Pass, like, holy shit. But regardless of if it does for not, just like the next gen part of it, first of all, that's good. And if you're looking for a really ambitious, great looking, highly developed game in that regard, but also, which would be good, for me, because you and I have the next gen consoles, and we need some next gen only games to actually launch on these consoles. But it's also just I don't know, man. Battlefield 6, if that were in Game Pass, I can't even fathom. That'd be wild, Jared.
Yeah, I might actually play it. The weird thing is, I wonder if they just heard everything that's been happening at Activision in terms of this new Call of Duty game that's coming out and how it sounds like it's a huge clusterfuck, and who knows if they're even going to be able to pull it out of their ass. Maybe Battlefield just kind of heard about this and was like, maybe we can toss the trying to make a shitty previous gen version, and we can just focus on the next gen version, because both of these games are going to have like some kind of barrier to them where Call of Duty's going to kind of suck, but Battlefield's going to be like the definitive next gen experience.
I was going to say that's one way to distinguish itself from Call of Duty. Yeah, like in a big way where it's like, yeah, this is the next gen only, Battlefield experience, with SSD using that and everything.
Yeah, we're making a big boy version where you don't need to buy a different version in case you somehow manage to snag a PS5 and a Series X. You don't have to buy a different version of Call of Duty so that you can upgrade it when it actually comes out. Battlefield's only on the next gen.
Presumably just saying what they do, would they put this in EA Play then?
See, that's the question, is do they put it in, if this Game Pass rumor is true, is it because the game is in EA Play? That, I don't think so, Caleb. Because EA plays on PlayStation and on PC, and I don't think they would give it away for free on PC where everybody's hardware is so like differentiated.
Yeah.
I think it would, if they're going to do the Game Pass thing, I think they want that check from Microsoft to make up for some of the old sales, and then I think they want the player numbers by putting it in Game Pass.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it's an EA published game that would, they would put it in the Microsoft subscription service, but that's because obviously Microsoft would pay them for it in that regard. Whereas if it were an EA Play, that's like a separate thing where Microsoft is paying EA for all of their, Microsoft's paying EA for all of their EA Play game, like the access to EA Play as a subscription service that's included with Game Pass Ultimate. So this would be a singular agreement between Microsoft and EA for Battlefield 6 exclusivity and shit on the service. So yeah,
and it would be a day one, which is like a big difference because usually games come out like a year later on EA Play.
Yeah, that's what I would be like. Would they launch it day one in EA Play? That'd be weird. But yeah, you're right, because that would make it where they wouldn't get the sales on the other, platforms in that way. So
yeah. So my guess would be, if that's true, if that rumor is true, that it would come to Game Pass specifically.
Yeah, that's total speculation, but just the thought of it is really interesting, and actually maybe even a rumor worth talking about, just because of how revolutionary that would be for the industry. Like Battlefield and Call of Duty used to go head to head, and like obviously Call of Duty outdid Battlefield every time. Yeah. But it's just like Battlefield was really considered, like a one of the pinnacle first person shooter game franchises in the industry. It still is in some ways, but it's like
it's fallen quite a bit. I think that's why this move is even being thought of.
Exactly. It's just interesting. So a really interesting rumor. Some of the other rumors aren't as interesting. That one's really interesting to think about.
Now something that's not a rumor. Wasteland 3 is getting its first expansion on Xbox this June in the birth month of Jaren.
Yes, dude. I'm excited for this news, Jaren. And this is called the Wasteland 3, The Battle of Steeltown expansion. And I guess I can talk about it a bit for those of you who don't know. Wasteland 3 it's a storied PC RPG. It's a traditional turn-based, like isometric RPG. So it's really, really traditional in terms of an RPG. It's not your third-person action game, So don't get your hopes up if you're into that. Jaren and I played it last year. Super fucking fun, dude. Crashed a lot. Hopefully those issues are fixed. But it came out last year, right before the new consoles came out. And it's a really fun game with great writing. And Jared and I played it twice, I think. We beat it once, and then we played it again on the hardest difficulty. Humble brag. And this Battle of Steeltown shit, it takes place, I guess, obviously before the ending events of the game. And you go to this, I guess it's like a factory-ish kind of setting where the Patriarch sends you because there's some sort of workers' strike or riot and all sorts of shit of the people who make the weapons and all that sort of thing for the Patriarch. And so that's where you get sent to, and they're adding a whole bunch of shit, and it comes out in June, and Jaren and I are very excited to play it. It is $14, apparently. And it comes out June 3rd, and there's a trailer you guys can go look up on YouTube, and it looks super cool. Very excited.
Very excited for it. I assume it takes place during the game, so I wonder how that's going to work with people who have finished the game. If it'll be like an Outer World situation where it'll just like bounce you back to a save that you had before a certain mission.
I was going to ask you about that too, because
or how that'll work. Because obviously
it's
we don't
like
want to
some
spoil
games.
the game.
Yeah, no, but you're right. It's like some games where like the DLC is supposed to have taken place during the middle of the events of the game and not like after the story. So it's like, I was going to ask you that too. It's like, do we have to have a certain save file? Does it give us a save file? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I assume that it'll just give us a save file or like let us take our characters and kind of just play it as extra and just treat it as if it happens in the middle of the game.
I was gonna say, we have a save regardless, because I think we use my like console saves and shit, so I should have everything we need for whatever.
There you go. And hopefully we can play this DLC with some nice Series X and S enhancements. Now that they've got this DLC coming out, hopefully that comes out too.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Moving on from the X Block, solid bunch of Xbox news, but now we're going to go into our X Factor, where we have a bit of a discussion. Obviously, we're always asking you guys for questions that fit in here, and we'd love to answer them. You can put them on our YouTube, the X Block Podcast, or on our Twitter, @XBlockPodcast, and we'll definitely add them into the show as we did a couple episodes ago for someone who listens to all of the episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, just be like, hey man, I have a question or a comment, and here's what it is, and it'd be pretty neato if you answered it in the show. Don't let Caleb answer it, though. I fucking hate that guy. And Jen will be like, all right, dude, straight up, no worries. I won't even let Caleb touch your question. And it'll all be cool.
But Caleb can touch this one because I came up with it. And I just kind of want to throw this out here because I've been wondering about it. Does Xbox care about Minecraft?
My answer to begin with is yes, but I want to hear why you thought of this question and what you have to say about it that may make me think otherwise or may reinforce my thoughts.
So I obviously don't mean in general. Clearly, Microsoft cares about Minecraft with all the merch they make and all the separate deals they make. And at some point, I assume we'll see some kind of anime and some kind of Minecraft movie like we had Lego Movie. And I assume all that stuff will continue to happen and licensing out the game will continue to happen. But even the Xbox version doesn't seem to ever keep up with the PC version of the game. So more what I'm asking is, does Xbox care about Minecraft in the sense of why is this game that is so big seem to have so little people working on it? Like they put out this DLC. This DLC is coming out. It's not DLC, it's an update.
I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah, so it's coming out. And they've now delayed half of it and they're splitting it up to parts and they're calling it their most ambitious update ever. And my question is more, why is this game that is the biggest game outside of probably Grand Theft Auto right now, why does the team that is working on this game have to delay updates? Why do they not have enough support and enough people working on this game? Like it seems to, once they got in Xbox's hands, that they just don't have enough people to keep up with the demand, and I don't understand why people aren't being hired.
They definitely have enough money. Here's the thing. So Mojang released a thing. They've been working on a Caves and Cliffs update, which they had a sort of trailer for to show off a bit, and that was announced, I think, at the last Minecon, if I'm not mistaken, last year. I don't know if it was a virtual Minecon or whatever, but they announced that, and then they came out recently this week and we're like, we're delaying that shit. And you're like, what? And they're like, yeah. They cited the pandemic as a reason why they were delaying it, and they're like the challenges from like COVID development stuff, but they're like, also it's like it's our biggest, most I don't know what they called it specifically, but it's like it's our biggest update yet, and it makes a lot of changes to the game and shit. And so then they were like, we have significant technical challenges, is what they literally quote, significant technical challenges that they need to overcome before they can roll it out. And so they're like, and they were calling it their biggest update yet, and they're still calling it that, but to get it out on time, they're like, we're splitting it in two. So it's like, well, dude, that's two separate updates, man. Like, you can't say it's your biggest update and then split your update in two and still say, it's the biggest update. It's like, no, now it's two updates. Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's like you call something Caves and Cliffs and then you only release Caves. It's like, well, then Caves came first and then Cliffs. Also, like, where my point to this is, where's the 4K? Where's the ray tracing update for console? Like, why is the biggest money maker at Xbox not the biggest studio? Like, when does GTA Online ever say, we announced this update that was coming, sorry, it's not coming anymore for a while? Or when do they announce things that just never come outside of the very beginning of the game when they couldn't figure out how to do stuff because it had literally never been done before.
Yeah, well, to kind of break all this down, like I was talking about the update, the first half's going to come out apparently now this summer, and the second will come out sometime during the holiday. And yeah, they said they delayed it because of COVID and because of their how big of the update is and how it affects everything in the game. And they're like, we don't want to break your worlds when we release the update, so we're really polishing it. I don't know enough about Mojang or enough about the development of this particular, patch or update to know if all this is true or how much of it is just excuses. But you're right. It's like this IP makes so much money and this game where it's like, how does this studio, out of all the studios that Microsoft owns, have like any problems even? And Jaren's right, where it seems that the PC iteration of the game is better than the console iteration of the game, but in ways where it's like they don't even have specific features. Like, they had various iterations of versions of the game, and then they made them all into one, Minecraft. Like, you used to have Minecraft Xbox One Edition, Minecraft Windows 10 version, Minecraft, all this, but now everything's just Minecraft. And they're all running so that everyone can play together. Like, you can play Minecraft between people on, like, I think Switch and Xbox and PC and on your phone, and everyone can play together. But somehow the games are still differentiated because they made it where, like, the game is 60 frames per second on the Xbox now, I'm pretty sure. And they have all these things. Like, they added realms to the game and a bunch of other features with, like, the store with skins and stuff that people buy that they're supporting.
Yeah.
But RTX, like you said, they announced a long time ago, like a 4K ray tracing update. 4K update, and they showed the demo of it. Like, they showed it running in game, like actual gameplay of it, and the ray tracing, like lighting and shit. And I'm pretty sure the PC version of Minecraft, I think last December, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's had ray tracing for almost like a year now.
Yeah, it has ray tracing. And Jaren's told me forever. I'm like, Jaren, you want to go play Minecraft? Like, do something at some point? Like, we have a world that we've built and with a lot of shit in it from a long time ago, and there's some achievements that I don't think Jaren has, but I have. But I like Minecraft so much where I'm like, yeah, I'd help you get them like normally in the game. I don't care. And Jaren's always like, well, whenever ray tracing comes out, I'll play it. Like, we'll play it. Like, that's fine. But it seems like they've like abandoned ray tracing in the game, which I don't understand, because ray tracing's on the PC version. And now the Series X is out and all this other shit, and they just, for some reason, they can't put it in the console versions. And I don't know why, and why the PC version is so much better in that regard. Because I don't know why Series X can't. When the Series X came out, why Mojang's such a big studio, Minecraft's such a big IP, why it wasn't just one of the 15 things they were talking about? Just, Minecraft also has ray tracing, now on console if you own a Series X or something, when the Series X came out. Like, why is it taking? They say they're working on it, I think, but
Sony had Miles Morales, right? It came out. Why wasn't this just an easy answer? Like, clearly it's not an actual answer because it's a game that you already had, but it was an easy look at this. It's something from our first party studios. You get the 4K update, and now it has ray tracing too on the Series X. I think that the biggest reason has always been that they've been able to make it run on certain consoles, and like the 4K update and all that kind of stuff, and they've been able to make it run on certain consoles, but they can't make it run on the other things that the game is also on. And for some reason, they're fine with the PC being a separate thing that always has the hottest stuff, but they don't seem to want to make one console the hottest thing that has all the stuff, which I don't understand, because they do that with like all of their exclusives. Yeah,
I guess since their target audience is children, they don't have enough demand. But it's just weird that I can't play Minecraft at high, like 4K, RTX-enabled bullshit settings on my Series X. I don't quite understand why, and I don't understand why they're like delaying this update either.
Yeah, because like that's still a side note. Like, that's stuff that we want, and obviously it's weird that they haven't had it, but it's a consistent issue that has been in Mojang since they got bought by Xbox. Like, when they got bought by Xbox, they should have gotten more people, and I think that this might be a side effect of how Microsoft runs studios, and it's that they buy a studio, and the studio gets run like it used to be run, and most studios go, wow, we're at Microsoft now, let's expand, let's get more people, let's make bigger things. And I wonder if Mojang has just been like, we liked how it was running,
well, just to interrupt,
we don't want to grow.
That's what I don't understand, because they actually they have expanded them like drastically, but they're not putting out updates at the same pace or other thing. Like, I just looked it up, and it says as of 2021, Mojang employs approximately 600 people. Which, how is that even?
Yeah, so they're way bigger.
Yeah, so how's that even possible? Because you would think that there are still 35 people at that studio.
So do they just... Well, now they have two teams, because obviously one group of people made Dungeons.
Well, yeah, they have the Minecraft Dungeons, yeah. And that's working on multiple consoles and PC, I think, too. So
Yeah, so is Mojang... Like the 600 people at Mojang, are they like not really developers? Are there like a big chunk of them that are like doing other things at Mojang? Like I just want to know how Mojang works, and I want to know how one of the biggest studios that Microsoft has,
It's one of the biggest IP.
can't make updates.
I don't know either. Like they're not even delaying the update, dude. They're splitting it into 2 parts and releasing one of them later, and then the second part even more later, which is weird. And they've been, I don't know, and where's ray tracing? There's just a lot of questions. It's like Minecraft isn't being handled, maybe it's being handled good or well, and the people who play it are happy with it. It's like, but it's maybe you could do way better at a way faster pace with one of the largest IP in the world in terms of gaming and even just merch and stuff in general. But maybe you could do better with a 600-person studio. What the fuck you guys doing over there?
Yeah, that's my
in
thing.
Stockholm.
Is there something wild going on? Like, are there 400 people out of the 600 making Minecraft 2? And is that why? And Minecraft 2 has ray tracing, 4K, an enormous world where everything is in cubes, but it looks like a real world. So like you build something out of cubes and then it like turns into a real object. Is that like what's happening? Are 400 people working on some fancy ass Minecraft 2?
Because we could believe that that's happening, and if it's not, then how? Like we would expect equivalent resources being pumped into base Minecraft.
Yeah, like if that gets announced, like if it's like, we were making Minecraft 2, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I understand, but you also like totally left people with no information and wondering why Minecraft takes so long to update for the last 3 years.
And it has issues too, like the what do you call it? The process of them making the game one cohesive, like changing the engine essentially to the Bedrock engine from Java, I think it was at before.
Yeah.
And making it run on everything where everybody can play together. That shit made broke the game. Like
yeah, obviously
I've tried.
that took time.
Yeah, I tried. They broke the game entirely. Yeah, but it took them like. That's what I'm saying, though. They're Mojang. It's Minecraft. They should have 1,000 people working on it in a capacity that's even greater than I would assume they would be at with 600 people, which they're not at yet. Like, I don't know. It should be one of the best, smoothest running, greatest games with updates. Like, how is Sea of Thieves doing better with updates than you guys? Like, what the fuck, man? And I get it's like totally different. Like the games are different, they operate different. That's not what I'm saying though. It's just you know what? You changed my mind, Jaren. I'm kind of like, what's up with Minecraft? Wait, why don't y'all care about Minecraft enough? You know?
Yeah, well, it's like World of Warcraft. Like every time they announce something for that, it's out.
Yeah.
Blizzard makes it, it comes out. It's high quality. Like that's a game that's consistently run and operated usually properly. Like Blizzard's been kind of a clusterfuck recently, but they've still managed to make World of Warcraft work well, or Elder Scrolls Online.
They can't handle Diablo, but they can handle that shit.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online works well. Like, why are these consistent games, like even GTA still works? Like it's kind of buggy. Like that's another one where it's like they're clearly just not fixing it because they don't have to. But Minecraft is like legitimately continuing to make like significant updates, but they just seem to take forever. So yeah, I don't know. We've talked about this enough because we don't really have any actual answers to it unless someone from Mojang actually
I just want a
answers.
30-minute video on the operations of Mojang 2021, you know? That's what I want.
So that is the end of the X Factor discussion. Like we said at the start, if you have questions, hit us up on any of our social platforms and we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, just look for the X Block podcast, you know?
Yeah, and then we'll answer them in the next X Factor discussion. Moving on, we're going to quickly talk about this, Game Pass or Gameplay. Once a month, the first week of the month, we spin a wheel and we select a game that is from Game Pass and from a specific list of games that are on this wheel. Mostly that just means games that Caleb and I haven't played and games that aren't really old versions of sports games. So Madden 21 is there, Madden 20 is not. We just have the latest and greatest in that, and then all the games in Game Pass that we haven't played. And we spin this wheel, it picks one game, and we have to play some portion of that game.
At least 3, 4, 5 hours. If it's an RPG, maybe a bit more. And then the first week of the next month that we record, we come back and we tell you whether you should Game Pass on that game, which means you don't play it, or Game Play it, which means you do play it.
Yep, and this month's game is Spiritfarer, and I feel like Caleb and I are currently still at the same point on that where as we were last week where he hasn't installed it and I haven't played it.
No, I listed you. It's kind of a spoiler because when we talk about what we've been playing, I'll probably mention in the beginning of the show if I've been playing the Game Pass or Gameplay game. So a little bit of a tip there. But yeah, I've had a lot of stuff going on this past 2 weeks, job related and then also personal kind of stuff related. So I haven't really even been motivated to play this game in particular, but I will play it before, what are we on? It's April 16th. So that we're recording this, or about to be April 17th. So yeah, 2 weeks from now, right? Is when we give our review of Spiritfarer. I will play it by
our
then.
Final thoughts. I'll probably play it next week.
I was going to say, so far, not even installed.
I didn't think it would be.
Good call. You know me too well.
I will definitely play this next week. I assume I'll start. So I'll give it like a brief talk about that I'm playing it probably on next week's episode.
All right.
And now we're moving on to the FAF.
My favorite segment, sometimes.
Alrighty, Caleb. Hit me with the FAF.
Okay, so Jaren, for those of you who don't know, types out the topics for the FAF, like the news topics in our doc that we read for the show, and he always knows what they are now, and I fucking don't. So this one's called Our Kind of FAF. So he'll literally talk about anything. I don't know. What's the news, Jaren?
Oh, and one quick thing, speaking of FAF, we didn't give a summary of what the FAF is. The FAF is all of the gaming news that is kind of a waste of time, in our opinion, to read and unimportant. So I read it for you and give it to you in a nice, fun, and digestible, usually 10-minute rant.
Most of the time we make fun of it, although I sometimes actually have relevant things to say about the stupid news that only you care about, so. You, not you, Jaren. You, everyone listening.
Yeah, so if your thing is in here, don't get offended. It's just not our cup of tea.
5 stars. 5-star review. Apple Podcasts.
5-star reviews. And actually, at the start of this, I did add some things that might be our cup of tea.
Okay, I'm in.
Hit me again with that first one, Caleb.
Our Kind of FAF.
Xbox France has this weird Microsoft Flight Simulator PC up for grabs, and is it dope? It is essentially half of an engine that says Microsoft Flight Simulator on it, and it has a gaming PC in it. And we entered ourselves in this giveaway on Twitter because if we win, boy, will I be able to edit this podcast quicker, and all my tears will be removed.
Jaren's going to have an actual jet engine. It's an actual jet engine, by the way, like cut in half. So it's not like an engine, like a car. It's a jet engine. And Jaren will be running that fucking turbine in his house, editing this podcast. Be a fucking wind funnel in his room as he edits this podcast at maximum speed.
So there's some dumb news. And if we actually win, then some fantastic news.
Then best news. This podcast is a success. If that happens, then we could quit.
Speaking of fantastic news, Microsoft Flight Simulator received surprise PEGI rating for Xbox One, so it's on the horizon.
PEGI 18. You guys know that? Like, it's not actually PEGI 18, but you know that guy shows up sometimes and he's just like, PEGI 18.
PEGI 18.
And you're like, oh, you mean like the fake rating board? That's not the SRB. Get out of here. But he says it so convincingly.
PEGI 18.
But it's on the horizon, so hopefully that means we get Microsoft Flight Simulator very soon. All right, Caleb. Moving on to the next topic.
Oh, man, the recurring weekly segment, because there's always news for it, because it gets the most clicks on all these websites. I would know, by the way. The Duty Department. This one is the Duty Department, Banhammer, Future Warfare. And, you know, in keeping with the naming systems now for Call of Duty, fucking Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War. Well, Duty Department, Banhammer, Future Warfare. No one knows what that means, but...
The first one, Call of Duty Warzone players are being turned into zombies.
I mean, they're already zombies, Jaren, am I right? In real life? Fucking nerds.
Players have discovered that if you die naturally, not by being shot, while in these areas, the zombie-infected areas, you immediately respawn as a zombified glass cannon. I have no idea what the fuck that means, and we're moving on because Call of Duty's just doing some weird shit now.
Jared and I, both of us are like, I don't know. I don't care. You care. Someone out there cares, maybe. And then why? I don't know.
So remember all those hackers? Well, now they have night vision goggles that aren't even in the game that auto mark opponents for them in Warzone.
Oh, God. All right. Have you, dude, Do you have any more hacking news in here about Call of Duty?
I've got this one, and Call of Duty has supposedly banned 475,000 people, but somehow they miss people using actual night vision goggles that aren't in the game to kill people.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's the hacking news. The second one was the hacking news that I was informed of. Like I learned about 500,000 hackers have been banned. But I don't think they've been permabanned. Like I think Activision only sometimes permabans like a device if they're repeat offenders.
Yeah, they've experimented with hardware banning specific devices for repeat offenders. But yeah, people just keep making new accounts and coming back on all different kind of devices. And if you boot up your PC in a different way or run a VPN, they wouldn't even be able to know that you were running on the same system.
So, I mean, there you go. And now they have night vision. So they can see you at night.
So on PC, good luck. Good luck if you're still playing
Modern
Warfare, or if you have crossplay enabled, good luck.
Godspeed.
You couldn't beat the PC people before. Now you have to fight the hackers. Update, Caleb. Remember those maps that they added into the game?
Yeah, I know.
And then the maps that they took out?
They added 3 maps to the game. They took 2 out, which were the custom game maps. And now
yeah,
what's
remember
up,
those?
Yeah.
Now they're coming back.
Oh, wait. Today? Are they going to take them out tomorrow again?
Apparently they took them out because they aren't quite ready. How'd you put them in then?
Why'd you release them if they weren't ready?
But they'll be made available again soon, Caleb, so.
Yeah, for how long, Jared? For how long?
Dude, I have no fucking idea.
I don't know what's going on at Activision. I hate you. I hate you all.
And here's the future Warfare one that I was joking about. Warzone sets a date for what seems to be its map nuking event. So they put out on Twitter 04/21 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The end is near. So everyone's assuming that this is where they nuke the map and the Cold War map becomes the new map for Warzone.
I was going to say, is that when they cut off, Modern Warfare support? Is that when they cut off support to where you can play Warzone with Modern Warfare?
Yeah, I assume Warzone will still be free and that the guns that were in it before might still be in it, but you'll just be on a new map. I think this might be the point where they stop ruining Modern Warfare with updates for Warzone.
That'd be nice.
And that is the last news in the duty department.
Gotcha. Got him, Jared. They thought that was the end of the FAF, dude. We got him.
So hit me with the next one, Caleb.
Cyber stunk.
Cyberpunk 2077 gets a new 1.21 patch, which apparently actually fixes a lot of stuff.
What?
A big chunk of the stuff that they broke in the last update, but it actually fixes a lot of things. And the one thing, I could tell you all the quests and open world things that it fixes, but that would be spoilers. The one thing that I thought was funny, that in a world where the console editions have the biggest problems, the only console specific thing noted in the patch notes is players should now be able to select stickers in photo mode.
Oh, thank
using
God.
The circle button in the Japanese version on the PlayStation 4.
I would finish this podcast, but I gotta bounce because I gotta go buy Cyberpunk because I'm ready to play now. Dude, I was gonna wait, but I think I'm in.
Also in the patch, sticking with CD Projekt Red's kind of oversight and missed things in Cyberpunk, they left unreleased DLC quest files in the patch.
Okay.
So if you want to know what possible DLCs are coming out in the future, go ahead and look through your patch files.
This game is living through mods, dude. Someone released a mod I read about today that they went back in the code and got the original models, or they found or somehow acquired the original models for the characters, all the main characters in the game. And so there's a mod where they don't look that great, but apparently I haven't played the game, so I don't exactly know what all these characters look like, but they look apparently totally pretty different from their final versions, and you can play the game with the original character model designs or whatever, and they have that darker lighting mod that I wrote about, and just go mod the game on PC, have fun.
Yep. And if you guys were sitting there wow, this Cyberpunk thing is really a joke, they dunk on them a lot, they must really be struggling. Well, here's the last story for you. CD Projekt's 2020 sales trounce previous full-year record. Cyberpunk 2077 developers' preliminary financials show 2020 sales and profits both several times higher than records set during The Witcher 3's launch year. So all that PlayStation stuff didn't affect them in any way. They still made almost twice to 3 times as much money as they did on The Witcher.
Yeah. 120 million PS4s out there, and apparently they got some of you, and then after that, they didn't care. All the PC homies went out and bought shit.
And that is the end of the Cyber Stunk. Let us know about the next one, Caleb.
You'll be soft after these, is what it says. I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable.
Ubisoft games, some classic ones, will lose multiplayer later this year. Tom
Ripperino.
Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas, Rainbow Six Vegas 2, Rainbow Six Lockdown, and Ghost Recon Future Soldier will lose multiplayer across all platforms on an unspecified date, and then a bunch more will on June 1st, including Assassin's Creed and stuff.
Joke's on you, buddy. I fucking went back and got those achievements. The ones that I'm going to get. And Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2 perfected that game. And then Vegas 1, there's like one achievement or something that would take like 300 hours or some bullshit, I don't know, that I'm not getting. But I got like another achievement that I boosted to like play all the maps and shit in the multiplayer and all. So, fuck you boys, you're closing the servers, but I already went and got the achievements I needed. Hell yeah.
In other words, Caleb's a nerd.
Hey, now.
In other Ubisoft news, Assassin's Creed Valhalla Wrath of the Druids expansion delayed. And I like how the title says Pillage a Village later. And I'm like, guys, they delayed it from April 29th to May 13th. There's no reason to put the game out on a boat and shoot a flaming arrow at it. It'll be there in 2 weeks. Relax.
This is the Valhalla one, right? This is Valhalla DLC?
Yep, the first expansion got pushed by 2 weeks.
I found it interesting because they delayed it, which probably maybe needed it. It can help it and shit. But that comes out, the expansion comes out May 13th, and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out May 14th. So I was thinking, are they trying to like draw players from Mass Effect and have them go play Assassin's Creed? I think that may be. I haven't read that anywhere, by the way, or heard anyone say that. I just saw, like, I wrote the Mass Effect Legendary Edition photo mode story that, like, they confirmed on Twitter that they're gonna have a photo mode in there. I had to look up when the game was coming out because I don't plan on playing it. I've got all the achievements in all the Mass Effect games, and I don't really want to play them again. And so I was like, okay, it comes out May 14th. And then I saw this in Druid News, and I was like, okay, they pushed that to May 13th? I'm like, that's a day before Mass Effect. I'm like, wait, is Ubisoft just trying to draw players from playing Mass Effect to instead keep playing Valhalla? Because they're both open world, they're RPGs, but, you know, in the same-ish vein. I'm like, I don't know. Interesting.
That whole time that you were talking about that, I was making cheeky faces peeking out from behind my pop filter like I had done something shady.
You, no one's recording.
I know. I'm all by myself.
Who's the nerd now, bitch?
Rainbow Six Siege adds Rick and Morty bundles that celebrate Pickle Rick.
Have you seen Rick and Morty, Jared?
No, I haven't.
It's as good as people say it is, which is upsetting because it's such a fucking pretentious meme and shit. It's like, no, it's actually good. Rick and Morty's really good.
Well, there you go. Go watch Rick and Morty. And that is the end of the Ubisoft-related portion. Let me know what the next one says, Caleb.
The one-time wiping is wrong.
Outriders inventory wipe prevention patch will be coming out soon, and item restoration will be coming later. So if you had, some people in Outriders had their entire inventory wiped.
After 100 hours.
After hundreds of hours, and supposedly they're going to give you all your items back somehow later. They're still trying to figure that out, but
dude,
yeah, good luck with that.
So glad you and I didn't play that game when it came out. So glad.
See, that we just like, even when I play games that have all these issues, like everyone talks about, like, I'm having this issue, I'm having this issue, I'm having this issue. Played all of Cyberpunk, had like nothing but funny glitches.
Yeah, like a car spawning and like crushing a guy or something, and like another car making it fly in the air. Is that what you told me? I was one of them.
It was a good time. Enjoyed the game. I feel like most of the time these glitches are blown way out of proportion, but obviously like nobody wants to lose their entire inventory, so fix that shit.
Yeah, that's a pretty shitty one.
But in the grand scheme of things, really never affected that much by this stuff. Obviously, now I'm going to be affected by it a lot in the future, so that'll be fun. Next one up, Caleb.
Jobs for the boys? Question mark?
Next BioShock game hiring writer for open world setting.
I wouldn't be a good narrative writer, but that seems like something you could do pretty well.
Yeah, that's more my thing. Caleb's the technical, everything looks good writer. I'm the creative script writer.
I was gonna say, I'm more like a professional like writer, whereas Jaren's a creative. Yeah, exactly. It's like, Jaren, I have like a master's degree in history, and I can write that way really well, and, you know, articles and other things. Jaren has a film degree, and he can write scripts and other creative endeavors that I can't do. So together we form, what do we form, Jaren? What do we make?
Together, we make the greatest podcasting duo on the 7 seas. When Caleb flubs, TikToks are made. And when Jaren cries, podcasts are formed.
All right, that's one of the jobs. And the next one, which I'm more suited for, even though that last one I was pretty suited for, some say it is my destiny. GameStop reportedly looking for a new CEO.
Oh yeah, I saw that guy. He left. You could do that, Jared. You
I
see,
couldn't do
there's
it
a
any
guy
worse.
who has made like millions of dollars from the GameStop stock because he was in the beginning, and so he's been hustling this shit from for a long time, like years. And there was a story. Yeah, this guy, he just reinvested like another $200,000 into GameStop stock at once, which then
Why?
made it shoot up.
Oh, okay.
Well, he knows shit. Like he just like he's an investor, and he just like has this GameStop shit. He's been doing it for many years.
This
and
is
he's
his
like,
thing.
He invested $200,000 in GameStop stock, and that made it shoot up. Like his, leading the way on Reddit. He's in the Wall Street Bets shit and all that now too. And he did that, and then he got it up another like 2% or 1.9%, which $200,000, made a bit of change there, and he's made millions off this shit.
There you go. Proud of that guy. He should be the GameStop CEO.
He should.
But if he can't
He
be, let me know, guys. Phone me up.
If he is though, he can't do like this trading bullshit because
That's true. So he shouldn't do that. He
Yeah.
should keep separate, and they should hire me to be the CEO. So if anyone's actually listening to this, please go on Twitter and start the hashtag Jaren for GameStop CEO.
Yeah, Jaren for GameStop even.
Jaren for GameStop.
We'll know what it means.
All right.
That's a shirt.
Hit me up with the
That's a shirt, Jaren.
final.
Jaren for GameStop.
Jaren for GameStop.
Oh, I'd wear that shirt. The last one in the FAF just says why? Question mark.
LG's absurdly expensive roll-up TV is now up for pre-order.
What do you mean
This is-
roll up, Jaren?
This is a TV that you can roll up and take places.
Like a fruit
like it-
roll up?
Yep, like it rolls like a poster.
I don't like
Like
that.
you know how you can roll a poster together?
Well, I know how you can like bend the screen on the fucking mini Razer. You know that Razer phone that they came out with?
Yep. So
Yeah.
you can roll this up.
Yeah, I don't like that. That upsets me.
How much do you think it costs?
$4.
100,000.
Oh no. Why? How does it not
There you
break
go.
when you roll it up?
There you go, Caleb. I knew I'd get a Y out of you. That's why I called the the segment Y.
Dude, I didn't even like think of that when I said it. I literally just said that as a response. Like I'm maybe subconsciously it influenced me, but I straight up was just like, why?
Nah, it's a thing you say all the time, and I knew I'd get one out of you. That's why I called it Y.
Dude, you nailed it. You know me too well. I was like, why? Why is it $100,000 and why does it fold? They're like, well, that's what you give us the money for. You're like, no, but how does it fold? And they're like, pay me $100,000, I'll tell you.
PlayPulse 1 is an all-in-one exercise bike, video game console, and entertainment system.
$5?
And it is $1,200.
Wow, dude, that's way more affordable.
If you pre-order it,
It's less than an OLED.
yeah, if you pre-order it, that's how much it costs. If you don't pre-order it, it costs $2,000.
Well, fucking, that's some bullshit.
It's a steal. You'd be silly not to pre-order it.
Yeah, but that's what they want you to do.
And then you have to just subscribe to the content, which costs $20 a month.
Oh, fuck that.
The Division movie still happening, but might have a new director. That's all. I don't have anything to say about that. I don't really care about that
Who cares? Yeah.
that movie. They have made Hallmark video game ornaments. The only reason this is in here is because all of the other ones were acceptable until they put the Fortnite character in, and now I won't buy any of them. And I said Fortnite, so now I can put it in the tags on YouTube.
Every fucking week, dude. It's a running joke.
And that is all for the FAF.
Oh, thank God. That was deceptively short, well, long rather, because it looks short in the doc, but it was not. But it was a good one. A lot of good stories there. I had fun learning because I never know what they are, so I learned about these and I was like, these are pretty good.
Yep. And there you go. We have now approached the end of the podcast.
Nice.
If you would like to find us anywhere, like we mentioned previous in the show, you can find us on @XBlockPodcast on Twitter, @XBlockPodcast on Instagram, @XBlockPodcast on TikTok, basically @XBlockPodcast everywhere, or on YouTube, the XBlock Podcast, and on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, any of those. Oh, you can go over to our Patreon, where, like we always say, we don't have any tiers. The only tiers are me editing the podcast. So if you feel like giving us money because you're crazy, giving us money will get me a new laptop and make it easier to edit the podcast.
Well, a new PC, we assume, but yes, patreon.com/xblockpodcast. You can throw us a few dollars and help Jaren get a new PC. Like literally, we wouldn't just take this money and, buy McDonald's. Like it would it would go back into the podcast for Jaren to get a new computer because his laptop is very old and it takes him longer to edit the podcast than it should.
Yep.
So there you go. Feel free to hit us up there. Leave comments, nice reviews, all that shit.
Yep. And that is our, I guess you can call it an outro. One thing I'll throw in here, since I didn't mention it earlier, if you were looking for an MLB The Show 21 review, those, as of time of recording, have not posted, so they will be on next week's episode. And the achievements actually look somewhat obtainable for once. Usually they suck on PlayStation.
A little bit of a tease in here.
There you go. If you're looking for that, that'll be on the next episode. I might even play it, and then I might have things to say about it.
There you go.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Take us away, Caleb.
X Block out.
Thanks for listening to the X Block. New episodes every Monday at 5 a.m.